Good morning. Welcome back, fellow Hoops fans, to yet another episode of the Last Shot NBA show here on Little Birdie TV. As always, brought to you by our great mates over there at topsport.com.au. Now it's Wednesday morning. We couldn't do without him, so we had to bring him back on. BK, my brother, how are you, my man?
I'm good, my man. You can't get enough of me. How you doing?
Yeah, we can't. We're just going to make BK every day. BK days every single day, man. But I'm doing good. I was just actually laughing because as the show started, I got a text from a Manchester United fan, a friend of mine in America, and all the texts, I just saw it pop up on the screen, and all it said was, the refs cheated. So that's why I was laughing as the show started.
I'm with him. I'm hot over here.
Listen, you love to see it. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. All right, BK, enough of the football talk. Let's get straight into the NBA talk because it was a big day for the big men yesterday, wasn't it, BK? First, we had Joel Embiid versus Nikola Jokic. Karl-Anthony Towns absolutely going ham as well. But we're going to start off of the duel of the two MVP favorites, Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic. Nuggets got the win. Jokic had 22 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists. Embiid led the Sixers with 34 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists. So they both had very good games. And the mutual respect was there post-game as well. Embiid said afterwards about Jokic, he's a monster. He's a great player, and I love competition, and I love playing against the best. I'm always happy that it's another big man and what he's able to do. He's a monster. I love watching him. And it was a great battle, BK. It was just a joy to watch. I mean, these have been probably, and you throw Giannis in, the two best players this season. Are we seeing a revival of the big man and of the center? Because the league's been dominated by perimeter players for at least the last decade. Are we seeing the big man starting to get a foothold again?
Yeah, small ball is dead. This has been brewing for a minute. You go back to last season, it was Jokic and Embiid going at it for MVP, and then Giannis winning 2 before that. So the very top of the game has had some elite big men coming through. And then, as you said, when you sort of go down the list, there's guys like Karl-Anthony Towns, even you want to go further, Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo. Like, there's just good, skilled big men all around the league.
And the difference is now between versus then is the big men, they're not plodding along, are they, BK? Like, they're not your Shaq type that's going to stay around the basket. These guys, not only can they do that, but they can get out onto the perimeter as well if need be and play that style of game as well.
Yeah, these big men are not the old big men, like whether it's shooting the 3-pointer, putting the ball on the floor and actually having handle, having that kind of skill set, but then also being playmakers. Jokic is probably one of the best playmakers in the league. We've seen Embiid improving his passing out of double teams. Adebayo the same. He's a great facilitator. So it's cool watching these guys in the natural evolution of the position, because the skill level all around the NBA is at an all-time high, but especially when you look at the jump from the big man, it's fun to watch. And watching Jokic and Embiid go at it, like, these are just two great players. I think one of them is the MVP for sure. I'm probably still just leaning towards Embiid. I flip-flopped a little bit the last couple of weeks, but I think it's going to come all the way right down to the wire. I don't think this game necessarily decided anything because, Embiid had a great game. Jokic had a great game, but it was Bones Highland that ultimately did make the difference. It wasn't necessarily either of those two guys, but it's been a fun race between these two guys. But it's not just them. Giannis is right there as well as a guy that I don't think enough people are talking about. So it's going to be fun during these last couple of weeks of the season.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to the MVP talk, those 3 guys, it's going to come down to one of those 3 guys, and I honestly think you could make a legitimate case for each one of them, right? Yeah. Obviously, Embiid and Jokic have the numbers on the board. Giannis is Giannis. For me, still the best player in the league. Milwaukee are in second right now. So, if they end up finishing second or maybe even somehow overtaking Miami, you can make a definite case for Giannis as well. I agree with you. I don't think yesterday's game changes for me. I still have Embiid as the MVP because and I've been saying it all season long, and I know you agree with me on this, BK. if you finish sixth, which is where the Nuggets are right now, it's not high enough for me to give you the MVP, because really, how valuable are you if you couldn't even get your team into the top half of the conference, really?
Yeah, I think that's fair. And obviously extenuating circumstances for Jokic with his two co-stars out. And if you are going to be the MVP as a sixth seed, it's got to be a historic Russell Westbrook type situation. But Jokic, you could argue has probably been close to that level, one of the highest PERs in NBA history. He's been amazing this season. But I think when you factor in the team success and, Embiid's numbers do paint the picture as well. So, I'm rocking with Embiid.
Yeah, me too. And look, one thing in Embiid's case as well is I know he wants that MVP. I think he's spoken about it that, the year, which year was it? Was it 2019? Again, my years are mixed up now, where he was kind of leading the race for the most part of the season. Then he got injured, missed a few games and kind of fell off. So I know he's spoken about wanting to get that MVP trophy. He's played, I believe, the most games he's ever played this season in his entire career. So he's been healthy for the most part. Take away that, little COVID absence at the beginning of the season. Once he's come back, hit the ground running, he's been absolutely dominant since then. So still Embiid for me. Let's move on to Karl-Anthony Towns, because he's another big man that is definitely not your prototypical big man that we've spoken about in the past. Obviously won the three-point shootout at NBA All-Star Weekend. Absolutely went off yesterday, BK. Became the 31st player in NBA history to record a 60-point game, had 60 points, 17 rebounds. He had 32 points in the third quarter alone, which is absolutely ridiculous. He was cooking that much that he didn't even realize he had 32 points, because they asked him about it post-game. And we've got the tweet now. We're going to show the tweet on the screen with the sound. He couldn't believe that he had 32 points in that third quarter.
Last one, you completely dominated that third quarter. 32 points. How did you take over responsibility to put this team on your back in that frame? 32 in the third quarter.
Damn. All right.
That's absolutely hilarious. He was like, damn, all right. Like, I had 32. What did you make of Cat yesterday, BK?
Man, he was just out there hooping. Like, he is offensively one of the best bigs. Like, I think, because the Timberwolves aren't necessarily, or they haven't in the past, won a bunch of games, people haven't necessarily paid attention to his development, but he's been just getting better and better every season. He's like a near 50, 40, 90 guy at the center position, which is just absurd. But I really like what I've seen from Towns this season, not only just on an individual level, but the Wolves have been good. Like, they're right there, closing in on the Nuggets for that sort of guaranteed spot in the postseason. They've had a really, really good season.
Look, if things ended today, they're currently 7th in the Western Conference, right? So they will be playing the Clippers in a play-in matchup. I kind of like them in that matchup, man, to be perfectly honest. Like, I don't think anyone really wants to play the Timberwolves in a first-round matchup. Like, they could be dangerous. I don't know if it's just me being crazy, but they could be dangerous, BK.
Yeah, it depends on the matchup, but the Clippers, especially without Paul George, without Kawhi Leonard, like, they've done a great job to get to this point. But if I had to pick out of those two teams in a series, or even if it just came down to a playing type situation, I think I like the Wolves there as well. I don't think that's crazy.
No, look, they've, like you said, they've been a good team. They've been under the radar. They've been fun to watch. I don't know. It's going to be interesting how it plays out. We've got just under a month until the play-in tournament. It's April 12, I believe it kicks off. So we've got just under a month. We're going to, probably in about a week or so, BK, I reckon we take a deeper dive into that one and just sort of maybe give our predictions and see how we see things panning out in that regard, BK. Moving on to Alex Caruso now, because I know you've been dying to talk about Alex Caruso for a couple of days. You're a big Alex Caruso fan. Made his return to the Bulls a few days ago, playing for the first time since that dirty Grayson Allen play that broke his wrist and kept him out for a while. Had 11 points, 4 steals. He's a big addition to the Bulls, isn't he, BK? Because, he's probably their best, if not the best, maybe one of their best perimeter defenders. Once he went out, the Bulls defense, which I believe was ranked number 1 at the time of his injury, Sorry, not number 1. It was ranked top 10. And then now I think top 15, 16. So the defense really dropped off since he went out. He's back now. What do we make of this, BK?
Well, to your point, they hadn't held the team under 100 points since he last played, a couple months ago. And then the first game back, they get it done. So his impact on the defense is undeniable, not just from an individual standpoint, but when you have a guy like that, it kind of just rubs off on everyone around you. When you see this guy diving on the floor, tracking down loose balls, chasing down fast breaks, like that stuff is infectious. And when you bring back Lonzo Ball as well, who's also due back in a couple of weeks, Pat Williams as well, the Bulls are starting to kind of look like their old selves again, which is right in time for the postseason. But I think the other big thing that people kind of forget is also just from a playmaking standpoint. When you have a guy like Caruso out there, I think I saw the stats. He accounts for like 29% of their assists. Lonzo's like 28. So when you have two guys back there that can just kind of take the offensive burden off DeRozan and Levine, who don't necessarily have to have their ball in their hands every single possession, that makes a huge difference for them, especially when it comes down to tight playoff games.
Yeah, and look, like you said, they're getting healthy at the right time, and that's what it's all about, right? Like we've covered the NBA long enough to know that it's obviously you need a little bit of luck, but you need health getting into the playoffs too, and they're starting to get healthy at the right time. And just to your point about having a guy like Caruso that is diving for balls, that really is infectious, right? Because we kind of seen that, and I hate to make this comparison in terms of the players that they are, but we saw it with Delly in a sense, right? During those Cleveland years where they were making the finals, and obviously the year that they won the championship, like his hustle and that grit and the fact that he was diving for every loose ball and all that sort of stuff, that you saw the effect that had on his teammates.
Oh, 100%. And to your point, when was the last time you saw a Lakers player diving on a loose ball?
Listen, you don't want to hear anything from me about the Los Angeles Lakers this morning.
That's what I'm saying. Guys like that make a difference.
Absolutely, 100%. So, look, I'm curious to see how the Bulls close out the regular season, especially once Lonzo Ball gets back. I want to see, obviously, how much time it will take to sort of get him back in that sort of game shape, because obviously working out and ramping up your workouts is completely different to actually playing an NBA game. But you're right. Look, they start to get healthy and they start to get that defense tightened up a little bit. I don't know, man. They could make a nice little playoff run.
Yeah, it's all coming together at the right time for the Bulls. I really liked them earlier in the season, and they did a great job just keeping things afloat. Mainly shout out to DeMar DeRozan, but if they have their full complement of players, I think you have to include them in that elite group in the Eastern Conference if they're healthy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, that top of the Eastern Conference, because all of a sudden you got Philadelphia, Miami, Chicago, Milwaukee still there. Like it's going to be a hell of a playoff, series. It's going to be fun to watch for us. All right, BK, let's take a look at some games, and then we're going to get out of here. Quiet NBA slate today, just the 4 games on the schedule. We're going to start off with Memphis and Indiana. We spoke about Indiana the other day, and I was like, all right, we need to get Indiana out of here, and I still stand by that. It's that time of year. Memphis Grizzlies favorites in this game. They're $1.38. Pacers $3.20. Lines at 6. Total 236 flat. Live on NBA League Pass. Not much to say here, BK. I have made fun of the Indiana Pacers, but they did put up a good fight against the Atlanta Hawks the other day. It took almost 50 piece from Trae Young to beat them in the end, but nothing to play for Indiana at this stage. Memphis, they've won 3 in a row, tied for second in the West. How are we going in this game, BK?
Yo, I think you just told the story. I think the Grizz have a lot more to play for than the Pacers, and they're just a better team. They're going to win this game.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, Indiana might be without Lance Stevenson, Brogdon, and Chris Duarte. They're all questionable for this game. Ja Morant, last I saw, he's actually doubtful, but even if he doesn't play, I still think that it doesn't matter. Yeah. All right, moving on to game number 2. Another franchise that I've had enough of is the Orlando Magic.
You're an Orlando hater.
You know what? Funny enough, I tweeted out the other day, it was a joke about how I didn't know 80% of the Orlando Magic roster. and somebody tweeted back to me and they said, do you even watch NBA? And then I wrote NBA, yes, Orlando, no. And there's a reason why I don't watch Orlando. Brooklyn Nets, $1.22 favorites here. Orlando, $4.50. Lines at 9.5. Total 232 live on NBA League Pass. Orlando are bad. Jalen Suggs, Gary Harris, both questionable for today. Brooklyn coming off a nice win against my New York Knicks. They're still 3 games behind Toronto for the 7th seed, BK. KD just named Eastern Conference Player of the Week. He's been absolutely phenomenal since he's been back. Kyrie Irving, eligible to play today, one of only 3 remaining games that he can play. This one's going to be pretty cut and dry, BK. Take the money, this one here, Brooklyn easily.
Yo, Kyrie might go for another 50-piece.
Yeah, just for fun.
He's only got a couple games left in the regular season.
Yeah, and we don't. If they end up playing Toronto in that first round too, in the play-in, he might not be playing in that either. So he could be sitting on the bench for a while. All right, moving on. Next game, Detroit. Geez, we've got one bad team and one good team again. Detroit Pistons, Miami Heat. Heat, big favorites for a reason. Again, they're $1.09 favorites. Detroit Pistons, $8.75. Line at -13.5. Total 214.5. Live on League Pass. BK. No Caleb Martin for Miami, but again, this is not going to matter. Pistons riding a 3-game losing streak. Heat, 24-9 at home. One of the best defenses in the league. You're a huge fan of them. Again, take the money on this one here because Miami's winning easily.
Yeah, although last time I picked against the Pistons when they were a heavy underdog, they came through with the dub. But I don't think that's going to be the case today. I think Miami strolls to this W.
Yeah, let's hopefully we're not eating our words by 2:30 p.m. today. So last game we're going to take a look at. This is probably the best game for me today. Phoenix Suns, New Orleans Pelicans. Suns $1.48, Pelicans $2.63. Lines at 4.5. Total 230.5, live on League Pass. This one's interesting because the Pelicans actually do have something to play for. They're only 1 game behind the Lakers in that play-in spot. The Lakers are in 9th, Pelicans are in 10th, only 1 game behind. I'm probably still going to go Phoenix, even though CJ McCollum is back today. I'm still going to go Phoenix because they're the best road team in the league. They're at 26-6. Pelicans just 16-19 at home. I think they're going to make it interesting, but I'm going to go Suns in a close one, BK.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Pelicans, they're a team. We spoke about the Timberwolves. The Pelicans are another team that I'm like, I don't want to play them in the play-in. Like they're a little frisky, and we've seen just how good CJ McCollum's been since he's arrived in town. But I think the Suns will just have a bit too much in this game.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree on both points. Again, I think the Pelicans have been absolutely great, or not great, but they've been very fun since CJ McCollum came back. All right, BK, my man. Always fun chatting hoops with you. And I'm sorry about Man United. I had to get that one in.
Hey, man, I'm going to go cry after this.
I'm sorry, not sorry. All right, my man. We'll catch you on Friday morning for another episode. This has been another episode of The Last Shot NBA show here on Little Birdie TV, brought to you by our good friends over there at topsport.com.au. We'll see you guys Friday morning.